Y'all knew this video was coming. I am finally ditching the Capital One Venture X. Today I'll walk you through why I'm doing it, whether or not you should do the same, and what I'll be filling that hole with. Pause. First, I want to do a quick refresher on what the Venture X actually brings to the table, just so we're all starting from the same place. The Venture X is a $395 annual fee, what I would call a beginner-friendly premium travel card with a handful of major benefits that, on paper, easily offset the annual fee. Those including a $300 annual Capital One travel credit, 10,000 anniversary miles worth at least $100, a TSA PreCheck or global entry credit, Hertz President Circle status, a Priority Pass Select membership, and Capital One lounge access as well. On top of those benefits, another big reason that this card is so popular is because a lot of us use it for everyday spend, since it earns a flat 2x Capital One Venture miles on all purchases and boosted 5x on flights and 10x on hotels and car rentals when booking through Capital One Travel. The value proposition here is pretty straightforward. With just two benefits alone, the $300 annual travel credit and the 10,000 anniversary miles, the card is effectively paying you $5 a year to keep it. Then everything else like the lounge access and all of that is kind of just gravy on top. This is exactly why the Venture X has been so popular and why I still recommend it to a lot of people. But that doesn't automatically mean that it still makes sense for me, as counterintuitive as that sounds, and that's what I want to break down next. The first reason that I'm ditching it is because I don't actually need its lounge access at all. I think that a lot of people would assume that the biggest reason I'm ditching the Venture X has to do with the lounge access nerfs that go into effect in just a week or so at the time of uploading. And while that is a factor for me, it's just honestly not top of mind at all. For anybody wondering what I'm talking about here, starting February 1st of 2026, authorized users on the Venture X will no longer get automatic lounge access. Since this card launched, people have been using it to bring up to 15 people into the Capital One lounges, granted if they would let you, and unlimited guests, technically, into Priority Pass lounges, which made this card the cheapest way to get broad lounge coverage. But going forward, if you want your authorized users to retain any access to Capital One lounges, Capital One landings, or Priority Pass lounges, you're going to need to pay $125 per year per authorized user. On top of that, there is no free guest access anymore for the main card holder or the authorized users. In order to bring a guest into the Priority Pass lounges, you're going to have to pay $35 each. And for Capital One lounges, guests are going to cost $45 or just $25 for kids ages 2 to 17. There is a spend-based workaround here where if you spend $75,000 on your Venture X in a calendar year, you'll unlock 2 complimentary Capital One lounge guest passes the following year. But realistically, that's just not worth chasing at all unless it happens organically. These changes technically do impact me and the value that I get from this card, since I travel a lot with my girlfriend and I now have to pay $45 just to bring her into Capital One lounges. But like I said, these nerfs actually don't matter all that much to me, and that's because I already have 2 other premium cards that fully cover my lounge access needs, the Chase Sapphire Reserve and Ritz-Carlton cards. Between those 2 cards, I get 2 guests into Chase Sapphire lounges and Priority Pass lounges, so there's really nothing else I need. And I should also note here that the Ritz-Carlton card has basically become known as the Venture X killer these days, at least when it comes to lounge access, since it has a low effective annual fee and free authorized users still, who also get their own lounge access, which is similar to the old Venture X terms, albeit you don't get quite the same amount of guests into each lounge. But yeah, bottom line here, even though these nerfs do technically impact me, I don't really care about them, but this does speak to the bigger overarching reason as to why I'm moving on from the Venture X. Before we get there, I want to tell y'all about a really easy way to stop leaving money on the table, and that is with Max Rewards and their automatic offer activation feature. With Max Rewards Gold, their paid tier, all of your credit cards linked to the app will have all of their offers automatically activated. That way you don't have to manually click the little plus icon in each lender's app. This feature has saved me well over $100 since I started using it, which has more than covered the cost of Max Rewards Gold for me every year I've had it. And that is like fully based on my natural spend. Like I didn't even go in and check the offers. It just happened automatically. On top of that, pertinent to this video is their card value tab that helps calculate your effective annual fee on each one of your cards for you, since Max Rewards has that live tracking within their app. Of course, Max Rewards has plenty of free features as well, and the one that I use the most is just the home screen that tells me all of my total point balances, card balances, bill due dates, and more from all 20 of my cards in one interface. Overall, if you want to get a better handle on your credit card setup here in 2026, then I would highly recommend checking out Max Rewards through the link in my description. And during the sign-up process, if you enter the promo code Spencer, you'll get a 3-month discount off of your annual Max Rewards Gold subscription if you ever do decide to upgrade to it, so definitely take them up on that. And big thank you to Max Rewards for sponsoring this video. As always, let's jump back into it. And that is reason number 2. It has no competitive advantage at all. Not just when it comes to lounge access, but really anything. When I look at all of the benefits that I listed earlier, the only two that don't overlap with my other cards and that I assign any real value to are the $300 annual Capital One travel credit and the 10,000 anniversary miles. Yes, on paper, that means I get paid $5 a year to hold the card, but at some point, you have to ask whether all of this hassle is really worth it. This is an opinion that I feel like it's taken a while for me to form, but the longer that I've been in this game, the more that I crave simplicity. Between all of my cards right now, I'm managing roughly $2,500 in annual fees, and the checklist of things that I need to do every single year, or more like every quarter and every single month, just to stay positive with all of those cards is already really extensive. That's why heading into 2026, I've been actively trying to consolidate wherever I can. With the Venture X specifically, there's genuinely no added value for me in being forced to spend $300 through Capital One's travel portal every single year. I could just as easily put that same $300 through my Chase Sapphire Reserve or my Ritz card, both of which also come with $300 travel credits and other benefits that help me on the travel side. So why would I want to split another $300 into a third ecosystem, which wouldn't even book me a full trip anyways, when I don't need to? If we rewind a few years to whenever I first got this card, my love for the Venture X made complete sense. It was my only premium travel credit card at that time, but once I finally decided to upgrade my Chase Sapphire Preferred to the Chase Sapphire Reserve, there was a massive drop in how much I actually needed the Venture X, and it's only continued heading downhill since then. What used to feel like the easiest $5 in value every single year has now just become one more thing that I have to manage. And I don't know about you, but I would honestly rather not prepay $395 through the Venture X for benefits that I can already get in so many other places. Reason number 3 now is because Capital One Venture Miles are a very low priority for me. The first thing to touch on here is that the Venture X is my only card in the Capital One ecosystem, and realistically, that's never going to change. With the number of cards that I have in my setup, I'm effectively locked out of the rest of Capital One's lineup, which means I can't, and to be fair, wouldn't really even want to, go all in with them. Because Capital One doesn't offer any unique transfer partners that fill a gap for me like Chase, Amex, Bilt, and Citi do, their miles always end up being my lowest priority transferable currency, and I almost always try to burn them first, usually on international premium flights. Currently, between miscellaneous spend and the anniversary bonus that I get, the Venture X generates around 30 to 40,000 miles per year, which is really solid. It's usually like my most used card, but I could earn roughly that same exact amount of points in just about any ecosystem that I wanted to, but more importantly, in an ecosystem that just fits my setup better. So when you zoom out here and look at this card from a high level, I'm basically forcing myself to use a $300 travel portal credit every single year just to break even on this card, all to earn 2x back on spend in a currency that I'm not actively trying to grow. I think we'd all be asking the same question here, like, what is the point of that? Just to be abundantly clear here, I am not saying that the Venture X or Capital One as a whole are bad. If their transfer partners line up with your travel goals directly, or you've learned how to leverage the airline alliances the way we've talked about in past videos on the channel, that's awesome. But for me, with a push toward consolidating currencies in 2026, Capital One just simply doesn't make the cut. At this point, I think we have a pretty clear understanding of why the Venture X doesn't make the most sense for me right now. So the obvious question becomes, what am I going to replace it with? And in all honesty here, this part is pretty simple. The only thing I actually need to replace from this card is the 2x I get on miscellaneous spend. Even without adding a single card to my setup, I already have 2 easy options in this backup wallet, the Chase Freedom Unlimited and the Amex Blue Business Plus. The Chase Freedom Unlimited would earn points in a currency that I value higher than any other, Chase Ultimate Rewards, but it only earns 1.5x back. There's definitely a reason to sometimes take a lower rate on your spend than you could get on another card, particularly if you're earning in a currency that you need the most points with. But since Amex membership rewards are also extremely valuable to me, just for a different reason, the Blue Business Plus is going to make the most sense here. By shifting those 30 to 40,000 points per year from Capital One Venture Miles to Amex membership rewards, I'm effectively upgrading the currency without adding any complexity. And better yet, I'm also cutting $395 in annual fees, which lines up perfectly with my goal of consolidating in 2026. By the way, if you're curious about my broader thoughts on using business cards for everyday spend, I'll link a video up here where I break that down in more detail. But yeah, my current plan would be to switch all of my miscellaneous spend from the Venture X to the no annual fee Amex Blue Business Plus that earns the same 2x rate. Up until Wednesday of this past week, I was 100% committed to that Amex Blue Business Plus approach. But then something pretty big happened in the credit card space, if you were unaware. Bilt launched their new 2.0 credit cards. As y'all probably have already seen in last week's video or through the shorts or live streams, anything I posted, I was lucky enough to get invited to New York City, where I got to see a lot of your favorite creators and hear the value propositions of these new cards right as they dropped. And look, I know there's been a lot of negativity out there about the launch of these new cards, but honestly, to me, it's really not that deep. To be completely real with y'all, I haven't looked at a single comment underneath any of the content I posted about Bilt, except for, of course, the channel members who I always answer, because I know how emotional people can get about big changes in the space like this. Obviously, that's not something I've ever backed away from. I talk about liking the Sapphire Reserve a lot, and y'all don't like that, or some of y'all don't like that. And all this Bilt 2.0 stuff has seemingly gone a lot farther than that. But I hope that y'all realize that my core thesis on credit cards has not changed. This game is extremely personal. If one of these new cards fits your lifestyle and you're going to get a ton of positive value from it, that's awesome. And if that's not going to be the case, that's great too. I just think we all need to maybe take a second before jumping online and just throwing hatred around like it's no big deal. Like, I'm human here. You're human watching this. We're all human. And I think that sometimes empathy towards that is just completely lost online. Jumping to the absolute worst conclusions about things when you actually don't know any of the details is a very slippery slope. And if you genuinely feel the need to hate on somebody for their opinions on something as simple as credit cards, like, I'm praying for you. Life is just so much deeper than this credit card game we play. And the last thing I'll say here is that I just genuinely cannot thank those of you enough who have supported me throughout this crazy week, whether it be publicly or privately. Like I said, I haven't been engulfing myself in the negativity of the comment sections, but to see how many of you have stood up for me and my integrity, like, it just means the world. I promise you that I'll continue to do what I've always done on this channel, which is stay true to myself and talk about what works for me. And if you resonate with that, then let's continue to enjoy this journey together. With all that being said, there was one specific Bilt 2.0 credit card that just caught my eye immediately, and that is the Bilt Palladium. Now, I know what you're probably thinking here. Like, throughout this video, I've been talking about consolidating annual fees, and here I am looking at the top annual fee option out of the Bilt 2.0 cards. But don't worry, I ran the numbers like I always do. When I plug everything into the credit card blueprint, which is linked below as always, and will be updated with the Bilt 2.0 cards as soon as possible, taking into account all of the credits, benefits, and spending on each of these three cards I've talked about today, my effective annual fee on the Capital One Venture X comes out to negative $516. If I switch to the Blue Business Plus now, which is really just giving me 2x back, there's no benefits associated, my effective annual fee would actually be lower than the Venture X at negative $520. But when I add the Bilt Palladium into the mix, I'm actually getting significantly more value than the other two at negative $1,197. Maybe that sounds too good to be true like it did to me at first. So let's break down exactly how that works. First, the card has a $495 annual fee, but I'll get full value from the $400 worth of Bilt hotel credits. Obviously $200 from Bilt cash every year, super easy to get value from. From the spending in the 2X category, which is the same as the Venture X and the Blue Business Plus, I'll get $572 in value from the rewards. And then with the 4% Bilt cash that you earn on every dollar spent outside of housing on this card, on top of the 2X category for Bilt rewards points, I get another $520 in value. And that's exactly how we get that effective annual fee of negative $1,197. I want to note here that eventually I will be making a full video breaking down all of the math associated with each of these cards, since it's just so complicated now, and that's one of the negatives that I mentioned in last week's video and live stream. But the simple fact is that right now, the combination of earning 2x Bilt points per dollar spent on the Palladium plus the 4% Bilt cash that effectively adds an additional 1.33x earning rate on top of that 2x. That means you're getting 3.33x on every single dollar that you spend on the Palladium outside of housing. And with Bilt points being worth 2.2 cents per point on average, your return on spend for every dollar spent on that card is 7.33%. You cannot beat that. The Venture X, on the other hand, would give me an effective return on spend of about 4%. So yeah, it's just night and day. Once I laid everything out like this, my decision became pretty clear, and I decided to go ahead and apply for the Bilt Palladium card as my Bilt 2.0 transition. And I was approved with an $18,000 credit limit, which was triple what I got before, which is pretty cool. And as we saw here, this card is not just going to replace my Venture X, but it's actually going to just completely blow it out of the water, give me way more value than I was getting previously, while fitting the direction that I want to take my credit card game much better. This is why the Palladium card makes so much sense for not only me, but for so many others out there, and why I'm going to continue to speak positively on it no matter what the haters say. I know this is probably a card that a lot of y'all are interested in if you haven't already applied for it, and if that's the case, it would really mean a lot if you checked out the links in my description, just like every video I make, because that is the best way to support me at no cost to you, and it really is what allows me to keep doing this full time. So that really leaves one final question here. should you ditch the Capital One Venture X? In reality, the only person that can truly answer that question is you, unless you book a consulting call with me. But on a serious note, a lot of what we talked about in this video is more intangible than anything else. It's really hard to assign a dollar amount on the mental energy required to, maintain certain credit cards. But all I know is that for me, the Venture X was starting to demand more attention than the return I was ultimately getting from it. And that is exactly why I decided to ditch it. Again, I have to reiterate that the Venture X is still an excellent credit card, especially if you're newer to premium travel cards or if you're a solo traveler who genuinely loves Capital One's transfer partners and the lounge access. But if you already have a stronger premium card or multiple like me, it just doesn't keep up in the same way anymore. If you're thinking about moving up the ladder of premium travel cards, I would recommend watching this video next where I break down the main 4 side by side. And don't forget that the Palladium fits in with those now, so I guess it's time for me to make an updated version of that one. And as always, Odin and I both really appreciate you watching this. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel and checking out all of my links in the description. And we'll catch you guys next time.